Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Michael and I teach you how to become fluent in Spanish in 12 months or less. So today I'm going to talk about 3 things that you need to focus on if you want to learn Spanish. These are kind of going to be like your North Stars. If you ever get overwhelmed, just think about these 3 things that you need to improve on. So the first one's going to be grammar, vocab, speaking. If I had to add a 4th one, it would be accountability. So in language learning, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. You can kind of look at fluency as like the top of Mount Everest and be like, wow, that's really far. And be like, you know what, I don't know if I can do it, especially since as you start, you might be like, oh, that's only like a mile high. And as you start climbing into beginner, intermediate, as you start going into the unknown and your contact with the known gets bigger so you can see what the unknown is, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's just getting further and further and further. I'm just getting more overwhelmed. So if you're ever feeling like you're overwhelmed, just come back to this and say, all right, am I getting better in my grammar? Am I getting better in my vocab? Am I getting better in my speaking? So let's start with grammar. Why is grammar important? Because it's the way that you string your vocabulary together. It's the way that you express what tense. It's the way that you express about like different people. It is very good to add a lot of color and like be very specific about what you're trying to say. And a lot of people try to learn grammar how we learn grammar in school, which is horrible. I remember being in university and high school Spanish, French classes and be like, someone give me 2 knives so I can put them in my eyes because this is so boring. And I love language learning and it was so boring. And the reason is because it's almost like if I'm trying to teach you basketball, you don't even know how to dribble the ball. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about like some advanced tactics so that, when you're playing with 4 other players, you know how to post up, how each person's going to go around. You're like, I don't even know how to dribble. I've never even shot a ball before. That's okay. Just get your head in that textbook and let's read. It's like, no, that's not how it should go. So how should you be progressing in grammar? Slowly progress. What is the Navy SEAL saying? Slow is quick is good. Something like that. Like, just make sure that you're always progressing. You get overwhelmed as soon as you try to learn the subjunctive when you haven't even mastered the present. It doesn't mean you can't dabble around, but stick to what's in front of you and then keep going. So in terms of vocab, what's important over there? With your vocab, why do we need vocab? Because words express our thoughts, and vocab in a different language can get overwhelming just the same way grammar does by learning words that you don't need. It's not that we're learning very complex words, it's more that we learn words that we don't need. For example, nature words. I remember, it will never leave me, this thought that I remember I had while learning French where we came into class and today we're gonna learn nature words. And I remember thinking, I just traveled to Belgium and I didn't even know how to say my flight was good when my host family asked me like, hey, how was your flight? But I can name like, oh, but there's a mountain, there's a creek, there's a river, there's orage, there was a tempest, there was a thunder, there was rain, but I can't say how my flight was. Like, no, don't learn about nature, about chairs, about tables, about like how to say these things that you're not gonna need when you can't even say what your name is. Like, start off with what you really need and what's important. And that brings me to my 3rd point, which is speaking. And speaking, if you do it often enough, will actually bring all this into place. Because as you develop your speaking and you get better, you're literally just gonna have to go to the next step. So, my name is this, What'd you do over the weekend? Shit, I don't know how to say what I did over the weekend. Okay, what vocab do I need? And so you're just slowly adding. And speaking is so important because my goal is to speak. So what do we use language for? We use language to communicate, but also to document. So, with books and history. So if that's the side that you want to go, the academic route, more power to you. The route that I want to go is speaking to people and having this communication, these relationships. If that's you as well, you need to speak with people. You can't have your head all day in a book. I've tried it before where I'm like, as long as I read and my reading got better, like I'll be fine. And then a native speaker came and as soon as he started speaking to me, I got flustered and I'm like, because the reps weren't there, the volume wasn't there. I hadn't spoken with enough people that like I could like think on the fly and I knew what to say. So you need to keep speaking as like one of your top things. So if you're like, hey, my vocab, my grammar is good, it's like, what else should I be working on? It's your speaking. Like, how many times a week are you speaking with someone? It is the hard part. It's the going and playing a basketball game. It's the going and playing a tennis game. It's like it's the getting in the water, right? You need to practice what you're actually gonna do. And if I have to think about the fourth one, accountability, the biggest reason why people stop learning languages is because they just get demotivated. They get overwhelmed, something else gets in their life, and it's just like, it's like a slow trickling away. And I usually find this from people that were never like 100% in the first place. The people that were 100% in, you can blame more of like the program, but so many people just want to get on Duolingo and practice 15 minutes a day and be like, okay, I'm good. You can look up videos on YouTube of people that have been doing Duolingo for 3 years, and they're good. They're like at an intermediate advanced level after 3 years. But if they have been speaking to people, like I do 3 hours a week, how I get my students to, and they've been doing it for 3 years, they're not intermediate advanced. They're advanced. That's 3 years every single week. Conversation, review, grammar, vocab, conversation, review, grammar. Like, there's no way you're not gonna be fluent. So that's the end of the video. Try to keep it short. I'm at 6 minutes and a half. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.